Alright, let's put you on the slide. So how many of you have heard that song before? Pretty much everybody. And most of you have probably seen The Lion King. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about my favorite movie that I have researched mostly this week, but some before this week, just because I found it was really interesting to me. I'm going to tell you about the impact and the influence of The Lion King. If I can figure out how to use the
playback. And just play
You're
good.
You don't have to point anywhere.
Alright, I'm sorry. Okay, so the popularity. So you've probably seen merchandise from this movie like everywhere. Well, maybe not so much recently, but when we were younger, it was everywhere. It was like the poster child of movies for Disney. And it was the first highest grossing animated film of all time for the longest time until Finding Nemo came along. So then it got, bumped to second. But it is the highest grossing hand-drawn animated film ever. So that's pretty cool. It was nominated for over 40 awards, according to the International Movie Database. And these awards these nominations ranged from the musical score to the animation and the genre itself. Out of these 40-something awards, it won 24, including 2 Oscars. And because of its popularity, a lot of spin-offs and sequels came around. There were 2 sequels, which, well, technically they're sequels, but one was an actual sequel, which is The Lion King 2, which not everyone's seen, but if you're a hardcore Lion King fan like me, you have. The Lion King 1.5 is actually a really interesting idea because it's not really a sequel. It's kind of like a behind-the-scenes story told from different characters that goes a little before the first movie and then during the first movie. There have also been a TV show on the Disney Channel called Timon and Pumbaa, which I also used to watch when I was younger, and a Broadway musical, which I haven't got to see yet, but someday I hope to. So, I bet you always thought that The Lion King was an original story, but to tell you the truth, it's actually not. Most of it is based off Hamlet. I was actually really surprised to find this out, and when I first found out I didn't really believe it, but I got it from a very reliable source, the back of one of the movies. I went and bought Lion King 1.5 like as soon as it came out because I was so excited. I'm like, alright, Timon and Pumbaa, my favorite characters. They made a movie about them. I gotta get it. So I got it and I watched it and it was like, it's okay. I'm glad I got it, but it wasn't as good as the original. But anyways, I decided to look at the box to see what the special features were. But then I ended up reading the back, and it told me about how the original Lion King was actually influenced by the play Hamlet, which also happens to be my favorite Shakespeare play. So, as you can see with the 2 pictures, there is a lot of similarities. In the top picture, this is Hamlet talking to his father's ghost, Hamlet Sr., and down here we have Mufasa speaking to Simba. And this is just one of the things that copied the play. The whole entire plot is pretty much Hamlet, with the uncle killing the king and usurping his throne. Simba and Hamlet actually have a lot in common. If you've read Hamlet, you know that Hamlet, for most of the play, was procrastinating. He didn't want to, well, he wanted to, but he was trying to justify taking back his own kingdom. While Simba didn't actually have the idea of revenge throughout most of the movie, he still did forget his past and procrastinate about going back. He didn't want the responsibility. And my favorite characters, Timon and Pumbaa, are actually based off of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Hamlet. And what I really like is these two pictures. They kind of look like they're in the same position, which is kind of cool. It's totally coincidental, but it's pretty awesome. So, the second movie also had some Shakespearean influence, but this time they went with Romeo and Juliet. And if you've seen the sequel, it features Kovu and Kiara, and they fall in love. But unfortunately, they're from two different families, Scar's family and Simba's family. And of course, because of the past, the two families don't get along. Of course, because it's a Disney film, it turns out much happier in the end. But most of it is based on Romeo and Juliet. So, today I've talked to you about both the impact and the influences behind The Lion King. And as you can see, even though Shakespeare is long dead and gone, his work still lives on. So whether you're watching a classic Shakespeare play or a Serengeti adaptation, Shakespeare lives on.